Let me do a brief overview on winter sowing. Basically what you're doing is you're making these little tiny greenhouses out of recycled materials. So they can be soda bottles, water seltzer bottles, pomegranate juice. The most popular and the most common option is going to be the milk jug. It's because it isn't completely clear and because it is larger. With whatever you use, you can go ahead and throw the lid away. Make sure that you label them with some sort of oil-based pencil or marker because they will fade in the sun. What you're going to do is you're going to cut it about halfway so that it hinges, and then you're going to tape it closed. Obviously, you need to plant your seeds inside of it first with some potting soil or some seed starting mix. You don't necessarily have to follow spacing guidelines because you're going to be able to pull them apart. We like to go ahead and leave them inside of trays because it collects some water because they have holes drilled in the bottom of them as well. And that's going to allow moisture to come in both from the top whenever it rains or snows or from the bottom. You want them to stay consistently moist, not soaking and not dry. They're going to sprout whenever they're ready. They're going to go through the natural cycle of the weather. That's why you leave the cap off. Once they get a lot larger, you're going to take off the tape and you can hinge them back so that they can get more sun and more rain and more space. It's basically letting them go through the natural cycle of weather, but with a little bit of extra help. Again, the reason why this works is because it follows the natural pattern of the weather. It makes sure that they have some moisture. It also is going to make sure that the seeds that need cold stratification get it. Usually you can do a lot of the hardier seeds starting even in December, no matter what climate you're in. We actually didn't get to it until March, and you can see that most of them are doing just fine, and we're starting to get more because, again, they sprout when they're ready. The other thing is if you want to do things like vegetables, like tomatoes or like peppers, then you can typically do those about 2 or 3 weeks after you would normally sow them inside. At that point, winter sowing is kind of a misnomer because it's not usually winter anymore, even for us in New Hampshire. Still a different method of sowing that is very hands-off.